Uh-oh, do you hear that loud squealing, chirping noise coming out of your refrigerator? Well, today I'm going to show you how to diagnose and repair this issue. And only about $30 a part, and it should take you about 20 minutes in time, and you'll do it all by yourself. And I'll show you how to save yourself $300 to $500 by not having to call the appliance repair guys to come make this repair for you and then fit you into their schedule. Now, even though this repair today is on an LG refrigerator, this should work for all refrigerators, as many refrigerators have very similar architecture in the back of them. So the source of this squeaking, squealing refrigerator noise is most likely going to be your refrigerator condenser fan motor, which is typically found at the back of the refrigerator. So you may not be able to localize the sound now, but if you pull out your fridge and investigate, you'll hear the sound coming from there. And the fan is usually located right in that solid section there, right next to those vents. So it's to the left of the vents in this refrigerator. So now that we know what part it is that we have to buy, well, how do you buy it? How do you know what part number it is to get? So here's what I'm going to show you how to find your part. So now's the time to look up your model number off the sticker on your refrigerator from inside the refrigerator, is typically where it's kept. And then you can look up what the refrigerator condenser fan motor part number is for your refrigerator, or you can just simply wait until you pull out the assembly and then pull out the motor and get it off of the sticker that's on there. Now, I'll put a link in the video description below for you to help you search down your part, and I'll also attach it to the View Products button on the lower left. So if you click on it, it expands the parts over to the right, and you can see them right there on the screen. Okay, now it greatly helps if you know what your part number is in advance like I did. But in this case here, you can also do this. If you don't know what your part number is and you don't know how to look it up, then you'll have to wait until you extract the motor out of the fan housing. Remember, you're not just buying a whole new fan housing. All you need to do is buy the black motor in the middle. And so you see that number on the green label there that says EAU65058501. So that's what I did, and I'll put the link here to Amazon, where I usually get all of my appliance parts. I just look them up first and then order them. And then right here you can see there's that part number right there off of the green label from my motor. It matches. So I know that it fits, and I also know that this is a motor fit for LG refrigerator, and that it replaces these part numbers. So sometimes you'll see part numbers change. And then this will list all of the different models that you can replace this with. And let's say you don't have an LG refrigerator. Well, then you can just go grab this right here and say refrigerator condenser fan and do a search right there in the Amazon box and say, for example, Samsung or Frigidaire, Whirlpool, whatever your refrigerator brand is, and it should easily come up with it. And just as a disclosure, the link that I give you into Amazon is a paid link, so they give us a small commission whenever anybody buys anything through one of our links. When you get in here, make sure you're checking out these images really good. You see this? Make sure that connector is indeed the same connector that you have. That's what you really want to focus on, is that the size of the motor. Make sure that if it's got 4 wires, that it matches what you have on your refrigerator. There's your dimensions. There's the sticker that I told you about. See, there's the part number on the sticker. So quite often they'll just give you everything you need here to be able to see, hey, yep, that's the right motor for my fridge. And sometimes they'll even give you videos that you'll want to check out as well, where they're showing you the part from all different angles, and you can double check and make sure that it is indeed the correct motor for your refrigerator condenser fan. And of course the connector, you're inspecting that. And some of them will give you a little bit of a detail on how to put the fan blade on and everything and how to assemble it, but just very quick and dirty. They don't show you the detail, of course, that I'm showing you today. The first thing you need to remember is you have to unplug the power to your refrigerator first, for safety, people. And then you realize, the sound's coming from the bottom panel. Now, if you look at the ice maker line, you don't have to remove it, because I'm going to show you a method here that you don't need to. But if you do want to remove your ice maker line to pull out your fridge, make sure you cut it off at the valve first. And then you undo these screws that you see me pointing to right here. In this particular refrigerator, there's 3 of these screws that are holding that rear panel in place down at the bottom, and right there is where the fan is, right behind that solid point. So we're going to open her up and take a look at the fan and see what is wrong. So next you undo those 3 screws along the back panel there so that you can remove the back panel. And if you have a magnetic bowl or something like that, it's easiest to put it in there. Now that you have removed those 3 securing screws, the panel is now free to move about the country. So just rotate it up there very carefully, being sure that you're not interfering with the ice maker line, and especially if it's a thin copper line, because those are very bendable. And then this is your blower fan right here. That's where the squeak is coming from. So you're going to have to remove this fan and the entire housing there, and we will pull the fan motor out and we will replace that motor. Now you see this tab where I'm pointing to? This right here is, you want to make sure you have to push it in with a flathead screwdriver first in order to be able to slide and disengage this fan out of place. And there's another one back there on the right. It's a little bit out of focus, but I'm about to show it to you in a second here, what it looks like once you've removed the fan out. See, so there's the setup there that you have to disengage the fan from. There's the view of those tabs after we have pushed down on them with the flathead screwdriver and disengaged the fan housing. Okay, so I've made this diagram here to show you. Otherwise, you're going to go crazy trying to figure out how to get this fan housing out of this gray plastic latch. So let me just show you. The way they insert it in the factory is they lower this little ledge right here and allow the housing to click into place like this, you see. And then the ledge snaps back up, so now it's all held in place and secure. So this is now a snug latching mechanism that is holding this housing into place, and the fan will not move at all. So here's what we have to do to get it out of here. So I've shown you here with the screwdriver that you're going to bring a screwdriver down in here and you want to push down on this part. Now, don't do it at this angle that I'm showing you in this picture. Remember, this is a 2-dimensional screwdriver. You want your screwdriver to be flat down on this surface right here. So then what you do is with your screwdriver, you push it down just enough to get clearance from the fan housing so you can slide it out here like this, and then you'll be up and out and free. So that's what you have to do. Now there is a retaining screw right here on the, to make sure we unscrew this. We can remove that, and then we should be able to loosen up the fan housing from the rest of the apparatus. Now be careful of this tubing here, because sometimes, and it could be copper on yours as well, it's very thin and very easy to ruin it if you're not careful with it. So you have to try to slip your fan housing above and around this tubing without smashing into it, without crunching it, and especially without crushing or flattening it. So you just have to take real good care about that. Just be real nimble with your hands, and we're just going to turn this housing at a 45-degree angle or so and try to get it out of there. So our goal for removing the fan housing is this part here has to go in an upward direction right there so that the bottom part can lift up and out of those tabs, and then we can twist it up at a 45-degree angle to get it up and over this tubing. Okay, so now we're using our flathead screwdriver with the flathead side down on top of the tab, and it can be a pain to get at it. You're going to have to keep trying a few times until you get it. But once you do get it, you'll feel it pop loose. But you can see how the tab is still kind of stuck there. You just have to keep working at it until you get a little space down there. Finally got it. So this side's out. And then lather, rinse, repeat. You do the same thing with the second tab as I showed you before. And then you should see it be able to pop out. See, it's loose now at the bottom. So now we're at an angle and we can try to get to the other side, and that's what we've done there. So now it's ready to come out. So now that you've gotten the fan loose, you can unplug the wiring harness there. So let me show you a better angle. See, there's your wiring harness, and it just plugs right into that connector. You just pull it out just like that. But wait a minute, Houston, we have a problem. Because nothing ever works right like you see in those Home Depot and Lowe's videos, does it? It seems like they're filmed up at Disney World's Fantasyland, where everything's perfect and the walls are always 90 degrees and all of your parts always come out easily. But back in the real world, why can't we get this part to come out? Well, take a closer look at what's really happening there, folks. And we finagle and finagle with it, and you might run into this too. Of course, you may get lucky with yours, and yours might pop out. But you can see what happened here. Even at the hypotenuse here, it pop out of there. So what happened here? Well, look at the tubing, and you can see how when they connected up the tubing, the factory clowns did it. They could have put the tubing where it came vertically, maybe an inch over to the, or maybe not so close to the bottom there, where it left us with such a confined space that we can't get the fan out. So now we switch to plan B, folks, which means we have to undo these 4 screws in the middle of the hub there, and we'll have to pull the fan motor out directly and perform a little surgery right there in place and not pull the fan housing out. No big deal, because we would have had to pull out those 4 screws anyway once we did get the housing out. So there's your motor finally pulled out, and then here is the new motor that we're going to replace it with. And we're just going to reverse the steps that we did pulling out the motor. So here we're going to reinsert it back into the housing, as you can see right there. Now with the new motor inserted onto the fan blade hub, we're going to take its wire there and we're going to feed that connector back through so we can plug in the connector back into the receptacle up there inside the refrigerator at the bottom. And sometimes the motor that you buy, the replacement motor, may have a longer cable like you see here. So now we're putting the fan blade with the motor attachment back onto the housing, and we will screw it back into place. Now, once we have completed that simple job there of plugging the connector back in, going to reverse the steps that were used to pull it out. We'll slide it over to the left there and let it click into place. Now that the fan housing has been secured and clicked into place on its tabs there at the bottom like I've showed you before, now you can just screw it back together onto the back of the refrigerator housing. So now we're putting the rear panel back on, and we go ahead and do those 3 screws that we had undone before and make sure everything's back in place. Make sure those tabs at the bottom slide down in where they go. Your refrigerator may be slightly different, but what I am showing you here today should indeed apply to most refrigerators out there, including yours, hopefully. Just minor changes in the architecture. Now, if you have another problem with your refrigerator not dispensing water, make sure you check out this other video that I did here with the 5 top reasons why your refrigerator is not dispensing water. And number 3 is the one that usually solves it for about 75% of you based on the feedback. So I hope this video has helped you out today. And thank you for joining us, and we'll see all of you on the next one.